Thanks for tuning in. Today is another episode of Chatting in My Closet, and today's episode is about luxury and whether luxury means its quality. So for those of you who may not have tuned into any of my other episodes, the Chatting in My Closet is a series where I kind of open the discussion, share my personal thoughts on a specific topic, and then really intend to continue that conversation in the comment section below. So I really look forward to reading all of your comments, your thoughts on this particular topic, and also, seeing all of you kind of comment on each other's thoughts to really build around the whole discussion. Everything is really meant to be an open forum, an open discussion. I'm really candid about my thoughts, and it's meant to be like a judgment-free zone. That's like the whole preface of what this whole series is about. And like I mentioned, today's topic is luxury and quality. Like, does luxury mean it is quality, and things like that. I know a lot of people will have a lot of different opinions on this as well, so I want to preface by saying these are my candid thoughts based on my experience and some of my expectations, if you will. So they can differ from yours, and like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. I expect this to be a pretty lengthy topic, so I think it might end up being like a multi-part piece because I doubt we can cover everything in just one episode. So as always, please grab your drink and get ready to chat with me. I just have some hot tea because we are in December now. It is the festive season, and I had a lovely friend send me this Starbucks cup, which was the holiday reusable cup. So I wanted to inject some festivity. Given it is December, given we have all survived till December of 2020. I don't think in March anybody thought this day would come, but here we are. So we can all, celebrate and cheers to that. All right, so let's jump into this topic. To me, luxury fashion houses like Chanel, Hermès, Louis Vuitton, Dior, these all represent really historic houses. These are fashion houses that embody innovation, setting new trends, and impeccable craftsmanship. At least that's what it feels like. That's what it means to me. And so I expect high quality, especially given the price for a lot of these items. And that means quality materials, like flawless finishing touches on everything, really great, everything is really well constructed, and there's nothing that's tacky or cheap looking, and it really embodies a lot of elegance and artistry and things like that. So that's what these brands mean to me. That's what luxury means to me, that it is a piece of art, almost. It embodies so much more than just the materials that put it together. It's the artistry of the person, the artisan who put it together, the skills of that person, the skills and the knowledge that's encompassed in that house around creating particular pieces, all of that good stuff. So because of that, I would expect really high quality for the pieces that we buy. But personally, I have to say, in recent years, I don't feel like the quality has kept up with the kind of increase in price for all of these items. I'm not saying that I feel like, in the 50s, Chanel was accessible for everybody. It absolutely wasn't. It was still a luxury. It was still expensive. But I feel like the Chanel pieces that were made in the 50s were made much better than they are today. I think that's the case for certain houses. And personally, based on my experience, I feel like that's the case when it comes to Chanel, when it comes to Louis Vuitton. I'm not that familiar with Dior for me to really know, or Fendi. Like, I've started purchasing from those houses much more recently, so I can't really tell. But Chanel and Chanel and Vuitton, I definitely feel like their quality has suffered, especially as they've tried to scale up their production and meet the higher demand for their goods. That's why I feel like vintage Chanel pieces are really valuable, are really worthy, because I feel like those pieces were made much better than the equivalents that are made today, honestly. Like, you can tell when you look at like a 20-year-old, 25-year-old Chanel bag that it was made to last that long, and because it was so well made, that's why someone can still carry it 20, 25 years later. I am not convinced that some of the pieces that are created today will survive that same amount of time. I really don't think so. I feel like the leather itself is a lot thinner. The hardware, I mean, we all know Chanel used to have gold-plated hardware. Now it's just gold-colored brass. Or brass. I don't know what the metal is, but you know what I mean. There's no gold plating on it anymore. So in terms of like the materials that are being used, you know, it's not the same as they used to be. All of those things add up, you know. And it's not like Chanel prices have gotten relatively more accessible, you know what I mean? Like, if anything, especially in 2020, I think the costs have definitely skyrocketed. So that's partially why I find it really difficult to add a new Chanel handbag to my collection, because for me, it's really hard to justify that price. There are times where I think I'd rather save my money to purchase a vintage piece. It will be very like unique. It's not necessarily a new release that a lot of people would be buying. B, it has that element of kind of reinvigorating the life cycle of a piece. And I just like the history sometimes that those pieces will have. Yeah, so I do feel like in recent days the quality has definitely suffered for some houses. If you watched my aftercare service video, you know, like, I have a pair of Chanel earrings that have rhinestones that fall out that I've needed to send for repair, and they've actually fallen out again. So there's like that question, right, of costume jewelry that actually costs a pretty penny and the freaking stones won't even stay in the earring. You know what I mean? It's a lot of those kinds of questions, right? Like, so, you know, when you pay $300, $400 for a pair of earrings, is it really quality when the rhinestones are going to fall out, right? When it's all just been glued in and there are no prongs to really hold it? Is that really quality? Does luxury even really mean that it's quality? What does it mean to be luxury? All of these questions, like, I start going into the spiral of thinking about what does it actually mean to be luxury? And when we go to some of these luxury fashion houses, is that really what we're paying for? Is that really what we're getting when we pay that price? Another like recent example is at Louis Vuitton for me. I don't know if you watched, I put out like a 2020 Luxe gift guide, and in that video I shared that I personally was going to be getting the LV Capucines wallet for my mom for her Christmas gift. Like, the Capucines line is supposed to be LV's like flagship, highest grade, you know, most luxe line of handbags and all of the accessories that go along with it. So this wallet is also, it's a full leather wallet, so it is on the pricier side when you consider Louis Vuitton. And I wasn't really expecting to like a Vuitton wallet, to be honest, but I was just, when I was looking at all of the options across the different houses, when I was at Vuitton, I decided to take a look with an open mind to just see what's out there. And like, when I first saw this wallet, I was pretty impressed. I liked the colorways. I loved the leather. It does remind me of like Hermès Togo leather, Togo and Clemence. And It feels really supple. The hardware details are beautiful. Like the construction of it, like the actual number of card slots, the fact that you still have a zipper coin purse and a place to put cash, like all of that was really great. And so a few weeks after I first saw that wallet, I finally decided to go pick it up, and I was gonna get it hot stamped and everything. And like I went to go see the wallet again, and like the glazing on the side was really wonky. It just didn't look very good. There was a part that just bulged really weird, and it was like unnecessary. I felt like if there were like multiple pieces of leather coming together, I could see why it's like extra bulgy, but it was like on the flat part of the wallet, and I'm like, why is this like wonky? And this is supposed to be like the highest, line that Vuitton has. So I asked if I could see another one, and they didn't have another one, so they had to order it from a different store. When that one came in, I went again to the store to check it out, and like, this one too. Like, there were just one too many things compiled together that I wasn't happy with it. Like, I don't have a good example right now, like readily available, but when my SA pulled out the wallet to show me, I was immediately like, why? Because so it's a trifold, and so there's like a part that flaps, and then there's a part that flaps over it, and there's a push button closure. That's what keeps it closed. Now, what whoever did at whatever store, I don't know, but what happened was this flap went correctly, and then instead of closing with the push button closure, they just like closed it without actually pushing in the button. So what happened was the top flap pushed down a little bit, and then the push button left an indent in the leather. And that was completely avoidable. That purely happened because somebody didn't store it properly. And then I think probably what happened was either gravity or something, right? So that's why the flap kind of pushed down lower, and then the push button left a little indent. So that was the first thing I saw, and I was like, okay, that's like not really cool. And then I opened it up. Then there's this like scratch on one side. And I was like, okay, scratches can happen. Scratches can even happen while someone's making the actual piece. So I was like, maybe that's not like too bad. The glazing was beautiful. Like, I was happy I did not like just settle with the first one that I saw, because I mean, this one had impeccable glazing across. But then there was that scratch, there was this push button indentation in the front, and then there was this other like weird speck on the front flap that looked like it was like dust that like fell on the bag, but when you tried to like, dust it off, it wouldn't come off, and it's actually like a part of the leather. It's like a little blip on it, and it like wasn't normal either. So it was like, I'm like, there are just one too many things right now. Like, if everything looks great and there was this tiny scratch, I would be okay with it. As you use the wallet, like, it's inevitably going to get scratched. I don't want to be too picky about it. And I was like, okay, it's fine. But it's like, it was stored incorrectly, which led to it being really like poorly shaped. And then there's a scratch, and there's just like this other weird speck on the top, in the front, that like won't come off. And I was just like, I don't love it, right? And I'm planning on giving this as a gift. If it was just for myself, I can tell myself like to just deal with it, it's fine. But I'm giving it as a gift. I don't want to give something where I notice these kinds of things and then just give it, like the other person might notice them too. And like that reflects poorly on me for thinking that would be a good gift. So I decided to just skip it altogether right now. I was like, I don't think it's meant to be. I've come back a few times to try and get this piece right now, and it's just not working. I'm just gonna like take a break, take a week or two, and then maybe come back to see if there's another one or something. But like, I was actually really impressed with the wallet when I first saw it. But it's like these kinds of quality control issues, if you will, that like ended up making me not purchase it. And to be honest, I don't know if I will. I still like that piece, and functionally I feel like it works the best for my mom, The color and the design, I think, also works really well for my mom. I haven't found something that's as similar at a similar price point yet, so I'm still debating. But anyway, like that, it's that kind of stuff that makes it frustrating. And imagine if that's your first purchase. You're going to be turned off the brand. Like, this is not my first purchase, so at least I have past experiences that are positive, that make me know or still believe in the brand and still want to come back. But imagine that's your first purchase. Like, you're going to be so, I would be so turned off if I went somewhere and they're telling me that this is top of the line, this is like the best of the best, and it looks like poop, you know? Like, it's like, I'm like, I feel like I could have glazed it better, or I feel like I could have put together better, you know? The one brand that I feel like has maintained its quality a lot better is Hermès. And I know I'm a bit partial to Hermès. I'll be the first to admit it. I am pretty partial. But the more I interact with that brand, the more I explore other pieces that I, add to my collection. So far, I haven't had a purchase where after the fact I was kind of like, it doesn't hold up very well, or it loses its shape, or I feel like it has really bad wear and tear. Like, the things are definitely pricey, but none of the items that I got have ever given me a reason to be like, oh, I feel like I overpaid for it, you see? And that's definitely something that I feel like Hermès does a much better job of. I think they just do a really great job maintaining that level of quality and making sure the quality is in par with the price points they charge. So, what are your experiences with luxury brands? Like, do you feel like the quality matches the price point? You feel like there's a huge imbalance, like you're overpaying for some things from some of these brands? You feel like it's worth that price because you're still paying for that brand name, even if the quality might not necessarily be there? Like, what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. The one other aspect I want to touch upon today is whether luxury brands and purchasing from luxury brands means that you're purchasing luxury or quality materials. As much as I want to say yes, I think so, I feel like there is too much of the supply chain is still not very transparent. So I think it's difficult to say with absolute certainty that when we purchase from, like, when I purchase like a t-shirt from Chanel and I paid $2,000 for that t-shirt, that it is going to be 200 times better than the t-shirt that I purchased from like Zara, okay? I do believe, at least partially, that, or maybe it's I want to believe, and I'll be totally honest, like I haven't studied too much of the fashion supply chain and the production process and all of that to really know. It's something that I'm interested to learn more about. And I feel like there's a part of me that wants to believe that when I am purchasing a t-shirt that's much more expensive, that more people along the supply chain have been taken care of versus a $20 t-shirt. I think there may be some level of truth to that, but I don't think it's as much as I would want to believe. It's not quite open to the consumer. From when it goes from like the fiber to become a yarn, right? From a yarn to then become like a fabric or a textile, from the fabric and textile to then be cut up and sewn to be a garment, right? And then from that garment to then get marketed, distributed, and sold, right? Like those are like the big chunks, sure, but like, is everyone really like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I remember watching a documentary about like leather processing and manufacturing facilities in like Italy, and there will be lots of brands that tout that they only get their leathers from like renowned factories, but sometimes it turns out that those factories have subcontracted their work to someone else, which may be at a facility that is much less up to date, taken care of, you know what I mean? Where the facility and the worker protections and things might not be there. But from the brand's perspective, they are contracting with this well-known factory, this well-known manufacturer, right? And then without knowing, or maybe without caring, that some of that work is getting subcontracted to someone else. So it might not really be that great. It might not be the same level of care and protection and everything that we want to believe is embedded in that cost, in that price tag. I say we, it's mostly me. There might be others of you out there that think like this too, but there was a time when I thought, you know, the one that's more expensive is better. It's better because there's probably more innovation in it. And then there's probably more parts of the supply chain that were appropriately compensated. But, you know, as time goes on and as I learn more, I'm not totally convinced that that's true. So for me, that's an open question still. For me, that's a piece that I still need to educate myself on and better understand so that I can make more informed purchases in the future. So basically, as I build out my collection, I do want to be more conscious of the pieces that I choose to add to my collection, the pieces that I want to kind of have in my collection for a long time. And I do think, I don't think I'll stop purchasing entirely. There's a part of me that still loves fashion, still loves these luxury houses for the history and the innovation and the visionary designs and products that they release. So I still think there's a part of me that will still be intrigued and wanting to add some new pieces. But I also think I want to diversify the kinds of brands that I include in my wardrobe, and maybe there are more pre-loved or vintage pieces that I add as well, whether that be clothes or accessories, and more from the standpoint of being able to cherish pieces that I really like and still maintain a pretty unique wardrobe that's very me, but also you know, be conscious of the choices that I'm making to make sure I'm not perpetuating things that I don't want to perpetuate. I hope that made sense. I just don't want to get wrapped up in this mindset of getting a Chanel bag that's like $6,000, like just for the Instagram flex, you know? I don't want to get consumed by that. I don't want to have that kind of consumer habit. And I want to be a lot more specific and a lot more thoughtful about the pieces that I add. But that's it for this episode. I really want to know your thoughts. Do you feel like luxury really means quality and that's delivered 100% of the time? Or do you feel like it's all a marketing scheme? Or do you feel like there are certain brands that live up to that and certain brands that don't? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I will definitely continue the conversation down there. So if you have any other questions, feel free to leave those down below or head on over to Instagram, and I'd be happy to help however I can. If you liked this video and you thought this Chatting in My Closet episode was thought-provoking, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate all of your feedback and support. If you like this kind of content and you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I post new fashion-related videos every Sunday and Wednesday. So until next time,